Hello and welcome to Dee Abroad. I'm Herman and Dee is on the way. We are starting fresh and hot today. It's been a busy morning. We're going to have some fun today. We got some guests with us today. We're really touching on a topic that really taps into the hearts of parents, especially when you're making such a big change in your life like moving abroad. So we're going to bring in our guest today. This is our guest from Aging Grateful. Get our screen right here. Here we go. It's been one of those days, folks. It's Aging Grateful with us. We're going to let you all introduce yourselves, give a little bit of background and history, and then you all can, and then we'll jump into the topic for today. All right.
Absolutely.
Go ahead, ladies first.
Oh, ladies first. Okay. I am Bobby with Aging Grateful,
And I'm Cedric.
and we are parents, parents of 10 children.
Yes, we are.
We have a blended family, and we actually have decided to take our journey abroad to Mexico, Puerto Vallarta to be exact. And we've been sharing our journey from when we first visited Puerto Vallarta all the way to transitioning to putting our house on the market for rent. And actually, we are in an Airbnb as we speak right now. And we are getting ready to go to Puerto Vallarta for good tomorrow, Mother's Day.
Happy Mother's Day.
Happy Mother's Day,
Does that mean
everybody.
I don't have to buy a gift? Because that's the gift is moving abroad.
We'll discuss that later.
And with that, I'm back. I hope you keep out of trouble with that one, Sid.
Absolutely.
Oh, that's good. That's good. We are so happy to have you with us here today. We're going to jump right in. Dee is here, fixing up some stuff, staying beautiful as ever. So we are so happy to meet you. So I need you all to know that you all are my like backbone support system. Because I know when we tap on, there is Aging Grateful popping up in the chat screen. I'm gonna miss y'all in the chat screen today. So you ask questions like you're not here to make me feel good.
Oh yeah, yes. And likewise.
We were watching one of the videos. We were like, "Hey, Sid said our name. We got a shout out from Sid."
Yeah, absolutely. You guys have been such an inspiration to us as well. So thank you.
Absolutely.
Oh, man, I thank you for that. We're honored to try to do this little experiment that's out here to try to figure out how to see the world broader and bigger. And that taps directly into this conversation today. For those who don't know our page or who are new to our page, Dee Abroad, we are on this channel. We help Black couples, individual, see moving abroad as a plan A in real time. So we are on our current journey to move abroad. So where a lot of other people are moving and have moved, we are still working our way through, still figuring our ways out. And a part of that process is interacting with the community like Aging Grateful and other YouTube communities, as well as viewers like you who help us kind of see the world for what it is. So as always, please like on this video. That sounds like something you're interested in. Subscribe to our page. Watch the videos, both. Subscribe and watch. And hit the notification bell so that when we're out here, you can know we're out here and you can come and follow us. I want to say hi to all the people who stepped in today. I see A. Hawkins and Maya Spikes. Welcome. And some of your friends there shouting you out there, Aging Grateful. Living, Loving Abroad. We just hung out with them yesterday. Good to see you all. Tutor, teacher. So we're happy to have everybody stopping by with us today. All right. Deep breath.
It's fine.
We are as organic as heck over here. So we jump right in. Okay, so let's start off with some of the basics. So you mentioned that you're moving to Puerto Vallarta. We had a chance to spend some time in Puerto Vallarta when we were down in Mexico for our visa process in November. So we know how beautiful that is, and congratulations to your process. And That'll be nice in addition to Mother's Day, say it.
Again, we'll talk later. No.
Yeah. Don't get me in trouble. So let's start off with an easy one. Why Puerto Vallarta?
The main reason for why Puerto Vallarta is because we currently in Phoenix, Arizona right now. We've lived in Phoenix since 95, 96. Just the easiness to get back to here. If something happens
with our
family or anything, it's just a 2-hour flight.
Back and
forth. Flights fly in and out of Puerto Vallarta to Phoenix, at least 3 or 4 times a day on average. So it was just kind of a soft landing for us.
And also we have a 16-year-old son
who
plays volleyball, and we want to be able to still support him in his journey through volleyball. So it's easy to catch a flight to come and support him as well.
Oh, okay, sweet.
Yes.
Sweet. So,
hey, Dee.
yeah. So she said, "Come on in here, stop playing around." Hello. It has been one of those days. Here's the beauty of the project right here.
Okay.
All right. So now I'm ready to go.
Yeah, you are. You're complete. You're complete now.
So then let's back up a little bit. Okay. So I'm assuming that the move abroad decision was not random.
It actually was.
Okay.
To be honest, we never really talked about it. I am a military brat, so I'm used to moving. My dad was in the Air Force. I've been overseas and all that, so I'm used to moving every 2 or 3 years. But we literally just took a trip to Puerto Vallarta and stayed at a resort
for a vacation.
And then it just turned into it had been so long since I kind of stepped away from work that I was like, you know what, this could be nice. So let's come back and live locally, get an Airbnb, and just kind of see, because I have a remote job, so I can work remote. So I was like, let me kind of step back and see if this is something that we can do.
He's being nice about his answer. You guys, literally, we stayed 5 days at a resort, walked the Malecon while we were there. We came back. He immediately booked 3 weeks at an Airbnb for us to go back to Mexico to see if we could do this for real, like live. That's how quick it was. It was quick.
The goal wasn't even that at that point. The goal wasn't to live there full time. The goal was to actually come back and forth. So, it was to come, stay some in PV, stay some in Phoenix, kind of go back and forth, and then kind of see where that landed.
Yeah, because I know that the focus of what we're talking about is, the children. So in your process, in that early process, when did you begin to factor in an impact to the family dynamic? The kid consideration. Where did it present itself in your process?
Well, I think it was always a part of the process initially, because we have adult children, but we also still have 2 16-year-olds at home. So for us, we were really thinking about our 16-year-old kids first. Our 16-year-old daughter she goes to school online. So I think that wasn't a problem for us. And our adult children, though we love them dearly, we have grandkids, it is that they were in this space of trying to live their own lives. And so what we were in turn, I guess, turning it around to doing what they do to us, if that makes sense. But, they're like, hey, we're going to live our lives. Have fun, guys. We're out here. And so we were like, oh, well, we can do the same. Hey, guys, we're out of here.
I bet that I think turned the tables on our young people. Like they were expecting kind of like my husband's parents, like my parents, like you stay put when you get to a certain age. This was a new paradigm shift of we are going, and we are saying we love you. You know, we want you to be secure, but yeah, we're leaving. We're not just moving away. We are leaving. We're leaving the country. So I love that I'm seeing other channels address that. Have you all kind of had a family meeting to get a sense, or were you just sensing that's how they felt?
Well, we've had conversations.
Yeah, we actually broke out the whiteboard and showed like
that
and showed like our retirement and their lack of, and the reason why we were doing this. This just wasn't a midlife crisis. Like, we showed if we moved here, how much money we can save. And, you know, we don't want to put the burden on them to be taking care of us as we get older.
And we did ask them that. We were like, would you like to take care of us as we age? And they were like, absolutely not.
and you know, I was going to ask that question with 10 children, that's 10 sets of personalities, not counting significant others and grandchildren. What was the variation of responses with 10 kids?
Mm-hmm.
Well, I think most of, I'd say all, but I'd pretty much say all of, they're all pretty okay with, like I said, with my background being a military background, I think they're kind of used to, you know, it's not foreign to them, right?
Okay.
So yeah, I think they're pretty much all on board. As a matter of fact, one of our daughters, she just got her passport for her and her two girls, and they're talking about going to Playa del Carmen this year and getting out. But for the most part, they were fine. You know, you had a couple that were just like, you know what, you know, the gravy train is up type of thing.
Yeah.
So, you know.
Yeah, it's like okay, it's time to fly, baby birds. And you have this amount of time to do it in.
Right.
I'm gonna say this because I think our kids have heard us say, oh, we're gonna do this or we're gonna do that, and then it doesn't happen. And I think they're kind of taking us seriously once we went through the visa process, and we have been saying we are leaving in 2024. We are really leaving. I want them to see the house being cleared out, because I think that can help them to understand that this is more than just talk. So bringing out the whiteboard, that's my personality. That's my type A personality. You know, let me just let you see that it makes dollars and cents. I did not get a chance to pre-ask you all about parents, because I know that some of the responsibility that we've talked about is our responsibility to our parents, our responsibility for, as the oldest, caring for them.
Yeah, you all are too. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, we're both the firstborns,
Yeah.
and our sisters have young kids, and so even though ironically they're both where our parents are, we're firstborns.
We still feel that,
even if it's something I think sometimes that we've put on ourselves. There's that we should be responsible for making sure everything is okay. And you know, we call it kids, but that, I guess parents are a part of that thought process as well.
Absolutely. Well, I will say for my parents, that has definitely been a concern for my mom, because my mom has never been outside of Chicago, which is where I'm born and raised from. And as she's getting older, she's telling me, you know, hey, I'm getting to this point now where I'm not able to do the stairs like I was. You know, so she's giving little hints. And so the conversation for me now is, Mom, I've kind of placed that in her court, if you will. Mom, what would you like for this to look like for you for this remainder of time that you're living your life? Do you want to be with us? So I'm kind of giving her that grace of saying, Mom, what would you like or how would you like for us to help you to do what you want to do? Because we're doing what we want to do, but I want to make sure that we take into consideration what you want to do.
Yeah. And for me, my dad passed away, what, 5 years, 6 years ago, 5 or 6 years ago. So my mom, she just recently moved in with my sister, my brother-in-law. They bought a big, almost kind of like the next gen home where they have the mother-in-law's quarters or whatever.
Right.
So they all live in the house now. So she's secure, and she's talking about, now I need to get out and travel. I need to get out here and
live her life,
live my life. So she's good.
I want Living Loving Abroad to expand. I popped theirs up because I want them to expand on what do they mean by tough discussion, because people are making these decisions and parents, I thought I was going to have a tough time as a mom saying, I'm leaving my children in a country where I say I don't feel safe, where I say, I have concerns about the cycle of capitalism. Mm-hmm. And as a mother, I'm looking at my children saying, I don't know if I'm saying this isn't good for me, what does that mean for them? Yesterday, our daughter said yes to getting her passport.
And she's the oldest.
She's the oldest and was the only one. And my response was like, I broke into complete tears because I said, the pressure that I had for, baby, if I need you to leave, I want you to be able to go wherever you want to. But these are the kinds of things that should be considered and talked about. And I'm wanting to hear other people say, these are some discussion points that we've had along the way. What about money? What about, the housing situation in the US is nuts. What about grandchildren? How do you stay connected? How do you keep the authentic family relationship structure that I know is very evident in Black families? In my Black family, we close knit. We tend to not really live far. What points of discussion have you all had that could be helpful to our audience that are saying, I'm not trying to be the helicopter parent. I really want to be talking about things that help our children be safe and productive.
Yeah, as like you said, every kid has a different personality, right? And what we've come to find is we can present these things to them, right? And say, look, this is the plan. This is why we're doing it. You should get a passport. You need to get a passport. You need to come visit. You need to do this. But they're at that age, they're all in their 20s. They're at those ages like we were in our 20s, like, whatever. They're not really trying to hear it. So I'm saying, okay, well, we're not going to put our life on hold, trying to basically still parent you guys and try to guide you. We've done our job, so to speak, as far as we train up a child, in
the way it should go.
Like, we've trained you at some point. Just like for me, I speak for myself. At some point in my life, it just clicked. Like, you know what? I need to settle down, and the training is in me. It's just a matter of me choosing to follow it, right? So I got to have that same faith with our kids. Like, we've trained them up, we've raised them, we've did this, but we can't keep putting our life on hold. And to be honest, we started seeing, this is, after the pandemic, we started seeing friends, pass away. My dad passed away, which was just mind blowing for me. It's like, he was 60 years old. I'm like, are you kidding me? So I started like looking at my own life, like, look, we need to get out here while we still can, and while we're in a position to be able to do this, and we need to do this.
Another thing, as far as family being close knit, like you were stating, that this age of technology is wonderful for us
Mhm.
because though we're in Phoenix, some of our children are not in Arizona. They are in other states. So they are living what they consider their best lives, right? But we have like Marco Polo and
Mhm.
time, and though we are realizing that those moments are just as important as the physical face-to-face a lot of times. Our kids are slowly, like he was saying, slowly saying, okay, I'm going to get my passport. And then there's some that are like, we're not hearing anything that you have to say. But we say the best experience, the best teacher is experience, right? So we're showing them by taking the step to move. We're showing them by sharing our experiences with them and in hopes or in turn that they may be able to see that there's something more to this life
Mhm.
and this United States and consumerism and all of that. There's living life. And our 16-year-old daughter, who actually is going to be with us, we pray that this is a very good experience for her as well.
And she gets the first-hand intimate experience because she edits all of our videos.
Yes.
So she doesn't have any excuse.
So she getting it, whether she, like they said, getting it either directly or indirectly.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna pull a group out. You have this group. You mentioned the one you're saying this is your time. You're running on the time limit.
Yes.
This is your.
Oh yeah.
So our three are in that transitional time space. The two oldest are, either by choice or not, or in that where we go next kind of flow, and our third is in that beginning of college space. So technically, he's still a part of the house. He's still a part of the involvement, the engagement. That population of children, because that's the tough place. When you have people who've moved out already and they've done their thing, and it's a matter of just kind of them getting used to your availability. Matter of fact, I'm a pop living loving abroad.
Yes.
Their comment back up here. When you have people who've kind of they're in their own space, they got their own house, they're doing their own thing, and you're kind of saying, I may not be down the street for you. That's one group. When you got people who still live at your house and you're simply saying, hey, you'll be a part of this process, like it or not, that's a group. But when you got young people who are moving out of your house, they're moving out of your space, you're still worried about whether or not they can do this. And then on top of that, you're going to be, for lack of a better way to put it, out of pocket. How do you address that? Let's look at this comment. They said, I don't think they really believe what we were saying. We always worked hard to build a great life, and I don't think they immediately understood the decision to give that up. And I understand that.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
But you got how you deal with those young people who are just launching. They're just getting their feet. They may have to roll back. Cartes of Move Abroad and Thrive.
Yes.
Cartes said he left the two oldest, and he said his 20-plus-year-old daughter was scrambling and fumbling. He sent her a plane ticket and said, make your way here. And he brought
1 year.
He
gave her a time limit.
He gave her a time limit in their space. In less than that, she found her own space in Mexico where they are. But how are you addressing that age group, that developmental group? Because they might actually be older or younger, that developmental group.
We have, this is a very tough response to this question because unfortunately, as a parent, you don't ever want to see your child fail or fall. That's just the parent in you, right? But to a certain extent, you do have those children who kind of, I want to say, just buck the system a little bit and want to do things their own way and maybe not want to listen to some wisdom. And we have had to encounter that with one of our daughters. And I guess for a time period for a few months here, because we started this journey in September. And while we were going back and forth, we kept sharing, okay, this is coming up, this timeline. That this last time in January, we told two of our daughters, May is the deadline, May 1st, You have to be out of here by May 1st. One of our daughters got on her feet quickly, got herself together, and she went out and got an apartment, and she's good. The other one, she just really was saying, don't worry about it. You don't need to know where I'm at or what I'm doing. And she just left. And that's a hard decision to make and encounter and experience, because you do want your children to thrive, and the not knowing is the hard part.
But I'd say with her, what we did when we did make sure she got her passport.
Yes, we
so
made
she
sure.
does have her passport, because she wanted to do a job where she's gonna need her passport anyway. So, but we still encourage her every day, like, hey,
we text her and say, hey, you know what? We're here. We love you. And by us being in Puerto Vallarta, which is, like I said, a 2-hour flight, we know that if there's any type of emergency, regardless of what it is, that we have the ability to be here a little bit quicker than we would be if we were in some other place overseas.
Yeah.
So it sounds like thinking about your kids may have factored in, not been a major factor into where you decided to go. And I hear that for people who with aging parents also, or their own health issues that, I might need to have someone come to me, from the States, and that shorter distance can bring some peace. So, for this conversation, I'm wanting people, it is my desire for people to hear that our children are important. Our young adults, we are fully embracing that, and that there is some internal work that parents, that adult children, with aging parents are considering, but it is never holding me back. Because people, are what do you call that? They're sifting out into two buckets. People who are saying, well, I'm going to wait until my child graduates, or I'm going to wait until and others that are saying this experience, they need to be a part of it. This is actually the best time to be taking them with us, and their education will not suffer. There are opportunities for, homeschooling, world schooling, international school, co-op. I mean, you've got so many options, but I joke with my husband that you need a support group when you are launching your young folk, because you need somebody to lean in. Remember that commercial where the dad was slamming the door? I hate you. It's kind of like you have to get that thick skin and have some other people who understand. So I thank you too for being in this space to talk about this.
So the grandparenting.
Ooh.
Yeah. So that's a different level of parenting conversation. My sister and her husband became parents later. They're in their mid-40s. They became parents later, so they have little ones. They're elementary age. And my mother, who just recently passed, had Alzheimer's. And my sister's, heartache was that my mother was not able to grandparent in the way she had hoped by the time her kids were becoming aware of the world, the way she was with our kids when they were little. How do those children, how does their feel about you being outside of the immediate grandparenting touch point? And I know you said you're 2 hours away by plane, and we live in a world where most of us don't live near our grandparents anyway. But was that a change for you? Did that affect? How was that conversation?
So in the beginning, we said we had like 10 kids together, right? So I already told all our kids, I'm not raising no grandkids.
This is him.
Let's be clear.
That's great.
Let us be clear.
Let's be clear. Hey.
Raising them. I love them. We went to see our grandson
One of our
yesterday.
grandsons, yeah.
But in honesty, this generation is growing up in this technological world anyway, where they're FaceTiming and those things. And all of our grandkids, except for the one, they all live out of state. So it's not like, kind of when we grew up and everybody lived next to each other. And so it's been that type of relationship.
But
anyway,
also for us, because our mindsets have shifted. She said facts. Our mindsets have shifted so much during this process of preparing to move that we're looking at this as an opportunity to give our grandkids a gift.
Mm-hmm.
So as one example, sharing with our 16-year-old daughter and sitting down, I said, you have to look at life now from this perspective. We were taught you get up, you go get an education, you go get a job, and then you start creating this life, whatever that is, bills, whatever. And just to say for our grandchildren too, take a step back and really take some time right now during your youth, teenage years, young adult years, and figure out what it is that you really want. The currency is not the money. The currency is in the things that you want, the life that you want to live. And I feel like we're giving our grandkids that opportunity now and saying what's really important is not grandma giving you $10. What is it that you truly want? Do you desire to, be near the beach? Do you desire to be able to, eat at beautiful restaurants and experience it? There's more to this life than just working this 9 to 5. And I think that getting them the passports, which is, for our grandkids, that's a priority.
Mm-hmm.
And then sharing with them that this life, there's so much more to this world than just what you see on TV and on your TikToks and on, your YouTube. And we're on YouTube, but there's more to this life, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I think that we have this profound opportunity to be able to change the direction of our legacy, our lineage. So
I worry sometimes, and I think we've had this discussion, Dee and I, that I feel like in the social media world, I feel hypocritical, or I come off hypocritical. When YouTube was really jumping, my kids were younger. And I was like, the world exists outside of the computer. The world exists outside of YouTube. The world exists outside of, Instagram, Facebook. I need you to,
engage the world.
What was the episode of Deep Space Nine? I need you to lift your head and see the world every once in a while. Yeah. And then we go into social media. And what I said to them is I'm doing the same process I said that I used to say to my daughter, okay, you want to have a page, fine, but you're not going to be, it's not likely that you're going to be a fame success tomorrow. Do you have the time and commitment to put in, to spend the time to say, I'm going to be all these things? And so there's this disparity in these conversations with them. We're not, we're doing well as a show and channel, and we're happy about it. I was like, but we're not, sensations. We don't have 30,000 viewers, even though our youngest son, that's his joke. He comes in like 30,000 viewers, yeah, because his mom has used his YouTube page to tap in too. So there's so many things that are a disconnect between what was going on in my world at 20, 30 years ago, and what is going on at 20 in their world, and me tapping into it and then trying to say there's also concerns and dangers about it. And they're like, you can't have it both ways. And I wonder sometimes if that translates to then the things we're doing. We're going to move. We're not in, we haven't moved. We haven't put anything away. We haven't sold anything, but it's coming down the line and I need you to be prepared for it. And they're, like you said, they're going, yeah, okay, yeah, sure. Yeah. All right. Yeah. Well, okay. Yeah. And then we'll be gone. Will they be like, you left me?
And that's
Abandonment is the actual word. When I went back to look in Exodus Summit's Facebook group and look for those posts, people were using, how do you ensure that you are communicating a choice and not an abandonment? I left you.
And that's a tough question, because we've come to this point where we're saying that, especially with regards to our daughter that just left, when we said we're doing this, that we were clear in saying that we're not abandoning. We love you. We're here for you. We are still here. But in the same token, I don't want to be in this area where I'm disrespecting how that other person is feeling. My daughter feels or may feel like this is a series of abandonment for her, right? Mm-hmm. And we've tossed this back and forth. The thing is that I could just share with her my experience, my feelings, let her know that we love her, but I cannot negate the fact that that is what somebody may be actually feeling. Mm-hmm. And that's not the place that I'm coming from. But again, if that's how you're receiving it. We just are in that time. It is tough. Let me just say it is tough. For those parents that are out here, it is tough. You're going to have maybe some that may feel that way. But in the grand scheme of things, if you keep that connection going, you keep that rapport going, letting them know that you are there, it becomes an issue where it's not a one-sided conversation, so to speak, at some point.
And also, these kids, they will try, or they may try to guilt trip you on that, right? So like, oh, y'all just gonna go to Mexico, live y'all best life while I'm not, it's like, okay, but like she was saying, you have to, even though you have that conversation, the conversation is not to change their mind, right? Because they're gonna have this thought, they may or may not change their mind, but the conversation is to say, okay, you feel this way, let's talk about it. After we talk about it, we give you our point of view and why we're doing this, where we're coming from. You still feel that way, that's fine, but just know that's not where we're coming from. So if you want to continue to feel that way, there's nothing that we can do to change that, because we're telling you and we're showing you this is out of love, this is out of this is why we're doing this. So if there's nothing else you can do from that point, from a parent standpoint, is just to know that, okay, in my heart, we've explained this, we went over this, and I can't change somebody else's feelings.
And know your why, and stick to that why. Because a lot of times what we do is we hesitate. And I know I had that moment too, where I was like, well, maybe we shouldn't do this because the way she felt. Mm-hmm. But the reality of the matter is that she's going on and she's doing whatever she's doing right now. She's living her life. And I would be sitting here stuck in this area of not moving forward or anything because of that. And here she is going on with whatever she's doing, and then I'm stuck. And it can't be that way.
There's a Venn graph that I shared with a few friends. And, the inside of the circle is what you can control. And outside of the circle are the things that you can't. And I can't change how my kids feel. I can change. So there was intention on the no guilt part of the title, because I know that what I put out toward the people that we care about as we are transitioning our life abroad is in love. It is with the amount of transparency that's needed for people to be aware, but that I can't take on how they interpret it. I keep the lines of communication open, just like said, I'm keeping the lines of communication open. So we've talked about what's the cadence. Our kids have made some physical changes. So I need to do more than just text message them. Hey, we need to have a once a month family video chat. That was something that Rick and Halisi opened my eyes to, hey, we could just get on together. What the pandemic did for my mother was, I could never have gotten her online, but the family were getting together on Zoom. Church was getting together on Zoom. And so things, you know, you may want to be aware of the opportunities that the times have brought toward us, and that that we can be assured we've got what does Adelia call it? You know, my old money, my OS money. You know, it's like, you know, I need to get back here because I need to be on the ground. There's some things shaking out. And so those are the assurances that I need that leave me with fewer guilty emotions. And I think that might just be the mother that's wrapped up in those emotions, because I think the dads are.
It's a mixed bag, because a part of us is like, grow up, get at it, get it done. You know, go for it. You know, bump your heads, bang your head. Let me hear. I got some Band-Aids. That's a part of because it's necessary for life. I think people who don't bang their heads enough early enough, don't learn to say, okay, this is a risk, but this is a reasonable risk. This is going to hurt a little bit, but we can move past this. And then there's always this clinch reaction to everything. And I'm going to fall. You know, there's that. And at the same time, there's the balance, which brings mothers in who says, you know, okay, baby, we're gonna do you right. And you just kind of like, you know, and dads know that despite the harsh tone, we're probably the quickest to run and help. Absolutely. And they know that. And that FaceTime, you know, not just for our kids, but, you know, if you throw your elderly parents into that, you know, your young adult children category, you know, being able to say, all right, mom, let me see you on the screen. Let me look at you. Hey, you lost a little weight since the last time I saw you. What's going on? Because young folk and older folk are just alike. They'll tell you what they think you need to know. Or I didn't want to tell you because I didn't want to worry you. Yeah, but I'm looking at you, and all you have to do is ask. And sometimes we get caught in these worlds of our own space. Stop right now. I'm going to say that in terms of conversation. For those of you all watching, I'm going to continue to thank you all for watching. Put some comments out there. Test us in some of these conversations. Put Sid and Bobby on blast. Ask them about what's going on.
We are open book during this process. There's so many people that you know, I've said in one of my videos that they move abroad and then you get all these videos after the fact, and it's like, well, what are you really going through? I want to be. This is what we're going through. We have real problems and situations and kids acting crazy, emergencies, everything, but you can still do it. And that's kind of the point we're trying to make. You can still do it. And I just think it's, and if you have kids, especially teenage kids, and speaking from, you know, a child that grew up all overseas and all over the place, and I always talk about these experiences now, and I'm like, man, you know, so now I realize, you know what, let me give our kids experience. When we first went to PV, this our 16-year-old, she got a job at Mama Chula's
Jamaican
on the
restaurant.
spot. And you know, Denise was like, well, I need somebody to, you know, help clean. Like, well, you hiring right now? She's like, yeah. She's like, well, get up and finish your food. And
come on in the box.
Please give our girl a shout out. We love
it.
Yes. And I have to add this story in because it's so we were there. So we flew into Puerto Vallarta and then we flew straight from Puerto Vallarta to Mexico to do our visa because of the challenges of some things that had changed. When we were done in Mexico City, we flew back to Puerto Vallarta to spend a few days. There was a Spanish class that was being taught at Mama Chula's. So we went to the class. Afterwards, we were leaving and we were like, well, you know, we'll try a little something. I'm from Florida, so I'm particular about my Caribbean food, about Jamaican food. And I said, you know, my wife's vegetarian/vegan. You know, do you have anything? And she said, oh, I got some callaloo in the back. Ears perked up. I was like, oh, you got some callaloo? And she's like, yeah, and I got some jerk chicken. She was like, but I got it in the freezer. I'm gonna have to take a minute and get it out. We're like, okay, we're thinking, you know, she gonna dang it, you know. She was back there an hour. And she brought my wife a fresh plate of callaloo, fresh rice and peas.
Please support Mama Chula.
And then she said to me, I got some oxtails back here if you want to try them. Man, I was back there jumping up and down. The chef in me was very happy.
Yes.
Oh, yes, right. Yeah. And but for her to get that experience, right? So we go home, we come back, and she's behind the bar
Mixing drinks.
I'm like,
My daughter, 16. But the thing is that she's getting some, exposure to different things and the way people do things. And it's like she wouldn't have had that sitting at home in her room with the door closed, looking at TikTok videos or whatever. So it's just giving opportunities, right? But if you look at it from this perspective that if you're doing this, you're doing this for just more than you. When you guys get ready to go to where your destination is, you're not just doing this for you. You're doing this to gain exposure, to help other people to do this, to help your children to see that there's more to this world. So there is kind of a certain responsibility that goes into this, right? For our parents and our children and young adult children.
Yeah, hindsight is 2020. When you're in the mix saying, you know what, I was about to slap somebody today. I was
I thought I lost my wallet, or I lost some money in the bag going to the Goodwill bag. I felt that. You mean I felt that?
I throw that bag up.
Yes, he did.
The danger behind that video, you start pulling all that stuff you decide to give away, you don't go, you know what, I can keep this. That's what I was waiting on.
Absolutely not.
But yeah, it's tough, and the documentation part is tough because it takes time, for one, and two, we all struggle. I'm sure we all struggle. At least I do. Like, don't nobody want to see this. Anybody don't watch this. So we do our best to try to document when we can. But that's our goal is to document as we're going through the process.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, I know I wanted to ask this question in particular because Bobby's most recent health scare. So, we've been talking about the focus being on being there for your children. How did they react when you had your recent crisis? And I'm going to let you share what you want to share, but they documented that on their page.
So while I was in Mexico, I did break my left foot. And what was really interesting is just going back and hearing people's responses to that, because I understand we're not in the United States. I get that. And the thing is I was saying, well, you know what, this is a good opportunity to share with other people. Don't be afraid to seek medical attention while you're overseas. One of the things that we did do before we had left for Mexico was call our insurance company just to see, what this looks like. If there's a deductible, what that is, what does it cover, and prayerfully, thankfully, our insurance is good for being abroad. And so going to the hospital, I was treated with so much care, so much care. My kids were nervous.
I was nervous. First of all,
was nervous too.
You weren't there, Seth.
I was in Arizona because I was selling the car, and I get this phone call from her. I see her, and she's like screaming, and I'm like, what's going on? She's like, I fell, I'm this and that. I'm like, and the last time I talked to her, she was going to Costco. So, and I told her what I say: don't try to bring up all the groceries up them stairs at once, because she's the everything in one shot person, right? So she fell down the stairs, and she's crying out for help, and her phone is about to die, and it's across the room, and so I kind of hear her and I was freaking out as I'm like, what do I need to do? Thankfully, we had some friends that were in town, because I was telling her, I said, well, call our landlord they live upstairs, and she speaks Spanish, the wife does, and I said, call her, and so you can go to the doctor, whatever. But our friends came over, and helped her out. But the one thing I liked about her, or that ended up working out about it. So that was, she got out of the hospital at 11 o'clock that night. It was a Saturday night, I think, Friday or Saturday night. Saturday night. I was able to book a flight on Southwest for Sunday morning, one way, 2-hour flight, and it cost me less than $300. That's the kind of, that's was part of our decision in being there in relation to Phoenix, as as a soft landing, because those type of situations. Because imagine if we'd have been overseas somewhere or way down south, America somewhere, we would have done it. We would have done it, but the stress I would have.
Yeah.
Yeah. Then you get all the family. Well, you left your wife over there in Mexico. I was like,
Yeah, my mother was very, very, very concerned. She was very concerned when he left me to go back and to be in Mexico by myself. And I don't know if I shared this on my video, on one of my videos. I have never been alone. I've never been alone at all. I'm 53. I've never been alone. I've always had, if it wasn't my siblings, it was my kids, and then being married. And so I've never been alone. So the timeline when he left, I was like, oh my gosh, what do I do? I've never been alone by myself. And I was quite enjoying this time.
I was going to say, ma'am, I know you were.
I was quite enjoying getting to know me.
No comment here.
Who I am outside of being a mom and a daughter and all of that, just being. And then this situation occurred, and my mother was like frozen in time there because she was like, "You're in Mexico." But my thing is that life is supposed to be about experiences, right? And when my kids were concerned and my mom was concerned, this was all an experience. Now, I didn't want this experience to occur, but it did. And I'm grateful. I'm even grateful in that, right? Because now I tested the limits of, what does the hospital system look like? What is the medical care like? And it's bar none, just to let you guys know, it's bar none. And it was cheaper than what we were paying here. Like out of pocket for everything was like less than $900. And I have x-rays. I had a specialist. They woke up in the middle of the night, so yeah.
And that's one of the things that I've been trying to share with our young people, with our children, as well as a part of this YouTube channel share, is that we're learning. This isn't we are experts and we want you to know to do A, B, C, and D. It's like, hey, this is what happened to us, and this is what we picked up on. I rarely get sick. And I rarely get sick from food. 3 years ago, and I think I've shared this before, 3 years ago, I had a TIA, which is a mild stroke. And then when we were traveling to Morocco, while we were there, our second day, third day, I wasn't feeling really good. And I'm pretty particular because I've had food poisoning 3 times. And I do not like gastrointestinal illness. That's just, and I didn't get really bad, but it was enough for me to like, okay, I don't want to eat. And a part of me being a chef is going to other new places and eating their food, testing their within reason. But I learned, okay, I know what I can point to what I did. And it was like, I had no business doing that. I had a great fish and chips meal for lunch. And it was like potato chips, whole house made potato chips, and this breaded fish that was like outstanding. And I had a mango milkshake. That night, my wife and I and a couple of the ladies, we went out to eat. I took them back over to the restaurant. I had another mango milkshake. Bad move. This 50-year-old body did not appreciate that at all. So for the next 3 days, I was just I was able to move and go, but food was not on my priority list.
But before we left, I knew there was a pharmacy at the end of the street.
Mm-hmm.
I called our insurance company and said, what do we do? Where can we go? So, I mean, you all are validating the circle of information, because I know whether it's a crisis like what he experienced 3 years ago, or when he's not feeling well, like I need to have those, you know, the graduating levels of information or resources. But what I want people to take from what you all are sharing is that not only are you thinking about your young people and the people around them that could be responsive to them if they got in a crisis and they're here in the States, but that you're surrounding yourself that should provide some level of peace to your children, that you've got a network of people, that you've got quality medical services surrounding you. And that reduces, doesn't take it away, the concern, the worry. When they can see, you know, Living, Loving Abroad, or they're seeing Aging Grateful, they're seeing Angela and Lamar, they can see you are doing well through these videos. We are sharing that these spaces are safe and we're able to navigate them confidently. So, I mean, I'm really thankful to see when people have incidents that's a part of the reality.
Yes, it is. And let me also say this too. Thank you guys that are people out here who are doing this, like what we're all doing, sharing the journey. Because another part of parenting for us too, especially with our young adults and our teenagers, they also are seeing these videos.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it's not, because we've opened up this world of learning and trying to experience it, and we're sharing this information with them. They are also in turn ingesting these videos and this information to see if this is really true what our parents are saying. Because sometimes young adults and teenagers, they don't sometimes listen to parents, but they will listen to someone else and that information.
They not just sometimes, most of the time.
Yep. Mom said it. Let me do the opposite.
Billy's mama said, "You like I told you that for the last 10 years." That's Billy's mom. And she didn't say it different. She said it exactly how I said it. Yeah.
I want to say thank you to you, Seth and Bobby. To know that there are people who look like me, who have similar life goals and situations, that are striving and making this expat life available and accessible to themselves. They recognize generationally the chains that we are breaking in this space, that you are the legacy. You are the legacy we are appreciating, that we're thankful for, and that we will be back in Puerto Vallarta very soon. Very, very soon to renew our, to finish out the temporary residency visa information, to meet back up with friends and colleagues, and to go a little bit deeper with our scouting trip to Mexico itself. There's so many things, if you're listening or watching this video, nuggets that they are sharing, but look at their page, because they're sharing getting the house ready for rental, decluttering. I mean, like, those are the transitions that we are showing up close. And I want to say thank you to you and all of the folks. We've got some others. Angela and Lamar did a video on what do our kids think? Yeah. And Blaxit Global, Krishan, actually did a video with her daughter as well. How does my daughter feel about our move to Portugal? And then Our Exodus Life also interviewed individually their children. If you are thinking about how do I approach the conversation? What do our young people think about the move abroad process? How could I begin to have those conversations? There's information out here. People are talking to their young people, and we're talking to each other. Any other resources, things that you all want to add as we're closing out?
Or words of encouragement to parents in this factor, or to young people who might have parents making this kind of life choice decision?
I just say embrace it. That's one of the things. Embrace it. Don't let anything deter you from your goal, because sometimes we tend to focus on the little things and make them big things. And just to stay focused and encouraged on that.
Yeah, and I mean, I really don't have anything to add. Just
do it.
Kids are resilient.
Yes,
and being a military brat, I used to hate. The worst day of my life was when we had to move, but then the best day of my life was when we got to our next base, right? Because I was the new kid and everybody wanted to know the new, so it was always that up and down, that ebb and flow. So, kids are resilient. They will cherish these experiences when they get older and, look back at a certain time, and they will be thankful for it.
And make sure you share that experience with your children, because a lot of times we may tend to say, hey, it's just us, we're gonna get on this plane and then we're gonna live our lives and that's it. But no, let's reach back and share this information so that others can be able to do the same, and your children can be able to do the same and see what life has to offer.
Absolutely. We moved around because my father's a minister. We moved every 4 to 5 years. Like I said, the worst day and the best day, and then the worst day and the best day. But conversation, communication, constant interaction are the keys to making those transitions, whether they're in your house or not. We thank you all for being here with us. We thank you to Aging Grateful, Said and Bobby. Best ever.
Yes.
Love it.
Thank you, guys.
Yes.
Absolutely.
We ask you all to remember to sign on to their page, Aging Grateful, watch their journey, subscribe, like. Same thing for us here at H&D, myself and this beautiful lady hanging out together at H&D Abroad. I'm Herman.
And I'm Dee, and we're grateful for this opportunity to share together. Enjoy the rest of your day, and happy Mother's Day to those here in the States. So goodbye for now.
See you all soon.